So recently I did a video talking about Tangle and Whisper. And in that video talking about Tangle and Whisper, I point out how Tangle and Whisper are an obvious couple. I point out how Sega pretends like they're just friends. And I thought that this was a mutually agreed upon thing. I thought more than just me noticed that they were a couple, and that I was in the majority of opinion on that. After the comments section on my last video, I see that there are actually a lot of people that are drinking on Sega's Kool-Aid and are completely believing that these two are just friends. If you look at the background of the video right now, you can see all the examples of them just being friends, scrolling by. Take a nice look at that while we continue our discussion. This moment of friendship is a repeated one that happens in every appearance they share. So, for the most part, we're going to be reading the comment section of that video, and I'm going to be responding to those comments. I'm going to be polite with these responses, and I'm going to give my own perspective on why I think a certain thing and why I disagree with those comments. So our first one is from Nathaniel Dunn, and it's, if I'm being completely honest, I prefer them as sisters or best friends. I really don't think it's necessary for a kid's book. So for the first half of that, I can agree. It's completely fine if you see two characters as just being friends, especially when the relationship is left ambiguous. That is a completely valid assertion to make about the characters. But what I don't get is, for a kid's book, why would them being together be bad for a kid's book? The original Sonic comics had Sonic being with Sally for a while. It had Sonic being with Fiona for a while. It had Antoine being with Bunny for a while. It had Charmy Bee basically being married. Why would two characters being together be bad for a kid's book? That doesn't make any sense. Now, I could go in a bad faith way of doing this and say that he's saying that people being gay in general is just bad for kids. That kids should be shielded from gay people. But he didn't say that, so I'm not going to assume that. But if you're just talking about relationships in general, no. There's always been couples in the Sonic stories. There's been plenty of stories where they have two characters that are obviously in love, like Tails and Cosmo. This isn't a new concept for Sonic. Sonic's whole thing with Amy is that they are a will they won't they love relationship thing. So, yeah, no. The games, the comics, the shows, everything disagrees with you. Then we have Blinky4594. They are just sisters. This is a stupid opinion. Okay, I guess opinions can be stupid now. It would come off as pandering to LGBT. So, why is it pandering to the LGBT by including a gay character? These characters hardly ever share screen time together, and when they do share screen time together, they're just really close people who help each other out and are there when they're vulnerable and hug each other and have cute moments. How is that pandering? If it was pandering to me, there would be a moment where Sega or any of the people involved comes out and says, look at these characters, they're gay. Make a big deal about it. It's Pride Month. We've seen this happen with things like Overwatch. We've seen this happen with things like anything made from Disney. We've seen this happen over and over and over and over again. Why would you call this pandering when literally we have so many examples of real pandering? Two people being in a relationship is not pandering, even if it's gay or straight. If you wouldn't say that a couple being together in a straight relationship is pandering to straight people, then don't say that a couple being together who are gay is pandering to gay people. Also, IDW is canon, so especially now it would be pandering because too much backlash. You can't assume there would be backlash when you have no proof of it. To me, it seems like the only people who would be against two women being together are people who are uncomfortable at the thought of gay people. People who don't like the idea of gay people. And there's a word for that. A word that a lot of anti-SJWs fear. I'm not going to say it right now, but that's the word I'm feeling right now. There's nothing wrong with two girl characters being together. Two girl characters can be together and it not be pandering and it not be an issue. People who consume the media who want something to complain about make it an issue. And then we get someone say, I think so too, personally. You are literally begging to keep pandering to you. I don't agree with the straight pandering or the gay pandering. I think both sides are wrong on that. I think you can have gay and straight characters and not be pandering to anything. Why can't they just have a sister relationship or actually be sisters? Well, they can't actually be sisters because they're not of the same species. They're not adopted. They just met each other. And why can't they have a sister relationship? I don't know. They don't seem to act like sisters. Unless you think sisters hug each other all the time in romantic situations, blush when they're really close together, and constantly, like, look at each other in a romantic way. If that's the way that you see sisters behaving, okay. Like I said, look at the background of the stream. You can say these are sister moments if you want to. I'll question what state you're in. But I don't see this as a sister relationship to me. But yet again, it's valid if you want to say they're just friends who happen to flirt or friends who happen to have chemistry. That is how it is with Knuckles and Rouge, after all. But with Knuckles and Rouge, no one's going to disagree if you say they could be a couple. And that's because they're straight. Just putting that out there. Why can't they be gay? Exactly. Why can't they be gay? What does it harm by them being gay? Does Sonic lose all of its sales just because there's a gay character? They just best friends. That's fine. If you think that they're friends, that's your interpretation of it. My interpretation of it is that there's more than enough examples to show that they are either coded to be more than friends, or that they are literally more than friends and they're just not allowed to say it. Both interpretations are valid because there are opinions. Just throwing that out there. And then he ruins it. He had a reasonable conversation, and then he ruins it with, nope, no woke, no gay. So his English just completely disintegrated. But ignoring the poor English, let's have a conversation about what is woke. This is an interesting conversation that I get to have, of all people, because I used to be considered an anti-SJW. If you watched my old content, my content on Comics Code, or my content on Just Dylan, or hell, even some of the content on this channel when I was covering things like Sonic Off the Press, you would know that I had a lot of arguments against pandering. I called out when they made Wonder Woman a lesbian or bi because I pointed out that it matched up to the stereotype of what Wonder Woman had been depicted as for over 50 years. That being that any strong, independent woman has to be into women. You could point out the fact that I critiqued them turning one of the Robins gay because they hyped it up as Robin turning gay, but it wasn't Dick Grayson Robin, it was some other Robin that no one cared about. Or you could point out that I critiqued them making Superman's son gay because they came out and said that they made Superman gay. All of these are obvious pandering examples because they have to hide the fact. They didn't say Kal-El's son is gay. They said Superman's gay. They didn't say that one of the Robins is gay. They said Robin is gay, which, by the way, he wasn't Robin at the time. Robin is actually Damian Wayne, which is Bruce Wayne's son. So that's factually incorrect for them saying that too. So you can see that I had some political opinions regarding comic books. Well, when it comes to Sonic, I argued against people using Sonic to push political agendas. And when I argued about people using Sonic to push political agendas, it was things like actual anarchists saying that Sonic stood for anarchy, or people who said Sonic pushes communism, when there's no proof of that, and they're literally just using it to push whatever political agenda they have, obviously. But I could understand how you could see me making those arguments and think that I'm some type of anti-SJW. The truth of it is, I'm not an anti-SJW. I'm just someone who absorbs, likes, and critiques media. And when it came to those examples, I saw them as bad examples of inclusion. I'm all for inclusion. I'm fine with there being gay characters in media. I'm fine with gay, lesbian, and trans representation. My thing is that it has to be done in a way that isn't terrible. And if it is done in a terrible way, I'm going to point out that it's terrible and explain why it's terrible. The way that I see it is, when it comes to introducing any type of diverse character, they should be diverse from the start. You should make a character with the intention of making them gay. You should make a character with the intention of them being trans. You should make a character with all of this stuff baked into them so you can properly represent it and properly show the hints leading up to it. If you just take a well-established straight character and make them gay, that's not gay representation, that's gay... I don't really know how to say it. I don't want to be mean, but it's basically just turning a character gay. And I don't really like that. I think that's bad representation. I think that you should make new characters, make new storylines, and write this stuff from the experience of a gay character, rather than just having more characters turn out to be secretly gay, or just turn them gay at the last moment. So now, since you know my opinion on that, let's talk about wokeness in general. Now, when I was doing anti-SJW stuff, as people would say, I saw wokeness as, like, the term that we would use to describe bad representation. And for a while, that's kinda how it was. But slowly, wokeness has morphed into everything that's gay is bad, everything that's trans is bad, and everything that is LGBT is pandering. And this is kind of the reason why I haven't been making these arguments, and why I haven't been, like, doing those type of videos anymore, because I'm not anti-gay. I'm not anti-LGBTQ. I have issues with writing. I don't have issues with gay characters existing. And I don't think that all the YouTubers who do this stuff are bad actors. I think that it's a 50-50 split. Some people are just grifters who want to complain about anything, so they'll just say X character is pandering just to get clicks. And then some people are legitimately terrible people who use this as dog whistling to try to convert more people into being bigoted and being homophobic, or whatever phobic. I think that it's a good split between those two, and it really just depends on person to person. You can decide who you think is just a grifter, who's just pandering to the anti-SJW crowd, or you can decide who's legitimately terrible. But now, since we've had that discussion, that's why I don't like the term woke. I think the term woke is a dog whistle. That's me personally. You can disagree with me if you want to, but that's why I don't like the woke terminology. So yeah, no woke, no gay. I guess that's the summary of their whole argument. What is blood yapping about? That's not really worth addressing. No, we don't need any woke. Oh wow, look at that word again. Woke. I guess drinking game time. Every time you see woke, take a shot. I can't be responsible for your liver poisoning. Stuff in our franchise. Oh, Team Rocket Spy, representative of the Sonic franchise, I see. If you don't feel accepted or relate to a character because you can't connect to is your sexuality, you need to reevaluate yourself, not force it on others. Well, despite what people say, I'm straight. Despite what people will tell you, I'm straight. I've only been with women. Yet, I like Tangle and Whisper being a couple, because they look cute together, and it's obviously implied that they are a couple. If it's just needing to see myself in a character, I would want them to be straight, like me. But I don't need every character to reflect myself, and I can understand that some characters will identify with other people. That's why I'm not fighting for everyone to be a white Native American mixed straight male. It's almost like that argument is invalid and completely biased. Not force it on others. So if there's a gay character introduced into a storyline, that's not just a gay character existing being gay. That's the character being forced on you. Not pretending to be upset about woke stuff in a franchise whose main character is an eco-terrorist anarchist. I don't agree with that on Sonic, but I can understand your view on that. Not woke, there's a difference. Well, that's actually a thing that I've argued about before, is that when it comes to things like Sonic the Hedgehog and X-Men, they've always been inherently progressive, but not all progressive stuff is pandering. Like, Sonic was always about environmentalism, but it was never such a degree to where he felt like Awesome Possum. I think that there's a fine divide between pandering and just being progressive, and I think that Sonic does a good job of being progressive without being pandering. But I think today people have lost the ability to articulate and the ability to actually understand and digest media properly. Who describes Sonic like that? Okay. If it was any other franchise, would you consider it woke? Yes. Yes, he would. Yes. And he responds just the way you thought he would. Since when was being an eco-terrorist woke? Do you even know what that means? IDK kind of sounds like you're a hater, getting pretty salty. And this is why you can't really engage in these discussions too much. Someone like him, if you stoop to his level and meet him at the level of stupidity, he'll just match you and go further. He'll drag you into the mud with him to make you both look bad. That's something I had to learn the hard way. Don't engage in discussions like that, and if you are to engage in discussions like that, go above it. Understand why he's making these arguments instead of just trying to throw jabs at him. That isn't going to achieve anything if you're both just taking low blows. In a Western sense, having Sega put their foot down and outright say that this is a couple would show corporate maturity and inclusivity in their roster. It is a shame that from an Eastern sense, same-sex couples are less accepted, and I feel Sega of Japan's influence is what's preventing this reveal. It clearly hasn't stopped any of the Sonic artists, writers, and creators trying to depict these two faithfully as possible. This relationship is clearly not without precedent. These two have shared almost every single issue together, worked through each other's traumas, and have the opportunity to bond in ways deeper than most of the cast. The writing is really on the wall. It's just Sega of Japan's mandates preventing it from taking the final step. So, I do kind of disagree with you, in the sense that it's not bigoted Japan of America stopping this. Sega has a rule that no one is allowed to be a couple, and that's for a couple reasons. Archie made couples really unattractive to Sega. That's because it's a legal mess. If a character gets into a relationship and then Sega loses the rights to those characters, it could actually be a real bad legal issue if Sega spent a lot of money pushing those two together. Like, let's say, Knuckles and Julie Sue. Like, this could be horrible. Like, I don't know how you can't figure out how Sega not fully owning a character could cause bad effects for Sega. But going on a more positive note, I think that it's just Sega not liking characters in general. They don't want expanded media characters influencing their canon. And they don't want to have to write characters being in a relationship in the games and telling other people to make characters in a relationship. If no one's a couple, then they don't have to worry about it. And if it's just a homophobic thing, Sega would have already made Sonic and Amy a thing, or made Knuckles and Rouge a thing, or Shadow and Rouge a thing. I think it's mainly just Sega doesn't want couples in general, and it has nothing to do with sexual orientation, and I've been shown nothing otherwise. Can we please leave woke, there it is again, take a shot if you have one, ideology out of this praying hand emoji, isn't it responsible to just leave it as it is? So don't ask, don't tell. I gotcha. To where everyone enjoys it rather than catering to the wants of a very few. So yet again, I say a lot of straight people would be completely fine with these people being a couple. I know quite a few straight people that would be fine with Tangle and Whisper being a couple. It's only people who don't want to acknowledge gay people and don't want to see gay people that have an issue. And these people will say that they're accepting, that they don't hate gay people, that they have a gay friend or whatever. But then they're afraid of gay people being in the media, afraid that their kids will see a gay person. I don't know. I call a spade, and it seems kind of bigoted to me. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe it's completely progressive to acknowledge that gay people exist but never want to see them or have them be in any media. That's just the viewpoint from me anyway. Alas, the franchise has been woke from its. I don't agree with this guy at all. I don't agree with saying that Sonic has always been woke is the way to go. I think that that's a bad idea, and it stoops to their level and only proves them right in their own eyes. Isn't IDW Sonic a kids comic series? What kind of degenerate example are you pushing onto kids? So, how is being a couple degenerate? These characters has been seen holding hands, hugging each other, and blushing. I know the meme of holding hands is the lewdest activity you can participate in, but I didn't know that you took it literally. They're not making out in front of everybody. They're not doing lewd acts in front of everybody. They're a cute cartoon couple that hug and blush and get mushy with each other. This isn't hurting anyone. There are plenty of cartoons and comics that have straight characters who do the same thing. Sonic and Sally kissed in Sonic Sat AM. Like, this has not been a problem until it's a gay character. And yet again, what is woke about just being a couple? It's so unnatural and disgusting. Well, that's just actual homophobia. That's just actual bigoted thought there. I guess it's alive and well on YouTube. We need to push back against the Alphabet Mafia. Alphabet Mafia is yet again another dog whistle from the from the anti-SJW crowd. Know that one? I used to mingle with these people. I used to watch their content. So just know if someone uses that term, chances are they think like this guy. I'm not reading that guy. That guy isn't helping anyone. I do agree that Sega of Japan seems to have overreacted with their apparent aversion to allowing relationships and just a good friends. Yes, it's exactly that. Sega only wants characters to be friends. While I understand that Archie developed the relationship of becoming a soap opera under Ken Penders and such, I firmly believe that treating Sonic the same way the J-pop industry treats idols is a step too far. Seriously, look at what happens if a Japanese idol is discovered to have a boyfriend private life. It's really fucked up. Considering how ideologically captured IDW staff and writers seem to be, and Sega of America too, judging by how eager they are to wrap their mascot in political flags, and created by literal cultural Marxist, oh my god, for explicit purposes of social disruption. Here's something I want to tell you. You had me for a minute, but now I'm going to introduce you to a really useful thing. It's called grass. Grass is a thing that at some point we can all go and touch. There was a period where I needed to go and touch grass, and I'm gonna do a step-by-step tutorial on how to do it, so please listen closely. You get up from the gamer chair, you walk over to the door, you open the door, you walk outside, you get on your lawn, and you touch the grass. There you go. There's a step-by-step tutorial for you to touch grass. There is no cabal of Sonic writers going, yes, it is time to push our political agenda by introducing more gay characters. As far as I'm aware of, there are 2 gay couples, 4 gay characters, in all of the Sonic IDW cast. How is that bad? That's an overwhelming amount of straight characters compared to 4 gay characters. You say gay people are the minority. Well, yes, they are, and they're being represented as a minority in the comic. Why do you have an issue with that? I guess it's the gay cabal to blame for it, though. Go look it up for yourself if you don't believe me. Trust me. Trust me. I've looked it up. I've heard all of your arguments. I've read all the same stuff you've read. I've seen all the same people you've seen. I was in that same fucking boat years ago. Conspiracy theories are a hell of a thing to get out of, and brainwashing is a hard thing to shake off. But yeah, no, I'm not going back down that rabbit hole again for you. I'm not sure if I can trust people currently in charge of writing Sonic with doing a good job. All one has to do is look at Marvel and DC are writing their comics, or even IDW's other licensed comics for the matter, or all of the game and film studios who are currently trying to pander to a modern sensibilities, to see the level of blatant agent prop we'd be getting into to let Flynn or Stanley off this supposed Sega mandate leash, and that Ian is complaining about. So, I'm going to say this. When it comes to that idea, I don't see how what IDW is doing is bad representation. For their first gay couple, who is Night and Dawn, they weren't even known by most people as a gay couple. These two weren't obviously gay. They were just 2 dudes who worked together. And it took Evan Stanley coming out and just confirming that they're gay for anyone to even know that they're gay. So Evan Stanley was interviewed, and she said, as far as LGBT rep goes, expect it more from our characters originating in the comic. Tangle and Whisper are characters that originate in the comic. We have more wiggle room with them. For example, Night and Dawn are canonically a gay couple, but that was only easy to do because it was introduced with that already in their bios, thus sidestepping the romance policy. So we can see that IDW will set up characters to be gay ahead of time, and will have them be in a relationship and not tell you. They'll just show 2 people being together and let you connect the dots. I don't think I have to spell it out to you what that means for Tangle and Whisper. No. I doubt Sega will cave into a small group of creepy hell fans. So I guess people who like gay people, and people who accept gay people, people who are tolerant to gay people, are creepy hell fans. Don't know why you choose that word to describe people, but okay. Bastardize our childhood. If Tangle and Whisper are gay and that bastardizes your childhood, it says a lot about you. For me, Sega could completely run Sonic into the ground again, and that won't affect my childhood. My childhood is already over. Believe it or not, I'm a full-grown adult. Nothing can affect my childhood, because it's done. Don't go full Disney/Bud Light. If I ever needed a dog whistle, there it is. Disney's representation is bad because they turn straight characters gay for no reason and then hype it up. Disney, most of the time, has bad representation. That does not mean that all gay people are woke. That does not mean all gay people are bad. And the stuff with Bud Light, I'm not even touching that. It's a beer company that did a bad bit of advertisement because they don't know their demographic. I didn't see anything really too bad about it, but I don't drink beer. So you can complain about that. Never go full Disney or Bud Light. Oh yeah. because it's definitely just having a gay character that doomed Disney. It's not Disney repeatedly pushing out movies that suck and rebooting movies that no one wanted a reboot to and changing characters just to brag about it. It's the fact that they had one gay character one time that doomed the whole Disney brand. Yeah, and Bud Light's tanking too. They had to file for bankruptcy last week. It's a tragedy. While I don't support LGBT or anything related, I think you might want to rephrase that. Especially Pride Month, fight me. Okay, I guess you don't want to rephrase that. I'm really shocked how many people are just actually bigoted. Like, people know me, and people, like, know what I argued about, and know the things that I joked about. And they're hearing me defend these people because despite me saying stuff in the past, they were jokes. I actually am completely fine with gay people existing. I am completely fine with these groups having acceptance in culture. I don't know why so many people are against it. Just let them exist. But I do have issues with Pride Month though, solely because I feel like an acceptance month is good, but I don't like how the people behave in Pride Month. I think that you can be proud of who you are without stripping in public and doing lewd acts in front of people. I think that everyone should be a presentable, respectable person. And from what I've seen, that's how Tangle and Whisper act, so I'm fine with them. If you're a presentable person and you act like a cute little couple, I'm fine with it, and I don't care. That goes for straight and gay. Like, as long as you act like a normal person in public, I'm fine with you. But even I can see that there are some things that Sega should just get over with and quit with the teasing. Well, at least you understand, even though you're anti-LGBT, like, you still understand that Tangle and Whisper are gay. Honestly, they did it with Son Amy, and now they're doing it with Tangle, and it's honestly getting annoying. I agree with you 100% with that. While I think that the ship is fine, and that this opinion is great, they probably won't. Bro, not only do they know each other for, like, what, a few weeks? No, like months to a year. Besides, Sega is no longer allowing the whole let animals date. Yeah, that's right. After Sonic and Sally, they kind of stopped doing that, no longer owning the character. Yeah, I actually made this argument earlier. Oh my god, this is so long now. They were holding hands because Tangle and Whisper are getting ready to... Okay, yeah, I know. But the thing is that they literally have her and them go into separate things. Like, in the comic that we got a lot of the cute moments with Tangle and Whisper, the sheep girl Lanolin was there too, but they deliberately cut her out of scenes with Tangle and Whisper holding hands. That scene where they're holding hands in front of an obvious gay flag in the background, that didn't have Lanolin there. Lanolin is a character, and she's part of Team Diamond Cutters. When, at the end of the comic, everyone is celebrating and eating a little meal together, Lanolin isn't with them. It's almost like they wanted Tangle and Whisper to have a moment together and remove the other teammate so they could. Like, I get the idea of, yes, they slap hands to do combo moves, but Tangle and Whisper hold hands outside of doing attack moves. Yet again, look at the background of the stream if you don't believe me. There are lots of moments in the comics that you can see where they're holding hands and cuddling with each other that has nothing to do with fighting. And this comment's good, by the way. And I think just going off of them blushing is a stretch. So we see Amy blush when she's around Sonic. We see Knuckles and Rouge blush when they're flirting with each other. But Tangle and Whisper blushing is a stretch? We only know Knuckles and Rouge is a thing because of interactions like that. And Amy constantly blushes over Sonic. So, the blushing thing is very valid. There are multiple reasons to blush, and it doesn't have to be romantic. Yes, it can be embarrassing, but they're not in embarrassing situations. They're hugging up to each other and blushing. If you have any examples otherwise, please show them. I'd love to see it. From what I can tell, Tangle and Whisper are good friends. Yeah, they celebrate Galentine's Day together. I don't see Tangle dating Jewel, who is also a girl. Okay, so there are no moments where Jewel and Whisper or Jewel and Tangle have those same interactions. Jewel and Tangle are treated like Tails and Sonic. They sometimes hug, but when they hug, they're not getting all cutesy with each other. They're not constantly holding hands. They're not having deep moments where they talk about their tragic backstories and trying to console each other and worry about offending each other. They're just friends who sometimes go on wacky adventures. The way that they depict Tangle and Whisper are completely different than the way that they depict Jewel and Tangle. So you actually helped the argument of Tangle and Whisper being a thing, not hurting it. Just because you're a lesbian doesn't mean that you're attracted to every girl. You can be a lesbian and just have friends who are girls and not want to be with them. Just like how straight people can have friends who are of the opposite sex and not want to date them. This is not a new idea. This is not a crazy idea. This is being a normal person. Not to mention, Sega doesn't want Amy and Sonic dating. Valid. Completely valid. And we've seen her swoon over him since they were made. Yes, 100%. I think that kinda is obvious that Sega won't allow this. Yes, and that's why I was saying they should just get over it and do it. But hey, maybe Flynn wants them to date. Won't do much since Sega owns the characters, but I don't think they'll ever date. Neither do I, sadly. And I think that it's fine either way of them just being friends. I think that if they're going to be friends, they should start being depicted as just friends. And if they're going to date, then let them date. If you constantly have them have cute moments together and hug and blush with each other and go on little dates, then just let them be a couple. Rip off the Band-Aid and let them be a thing. But if you want them to be friends, then just have them fade into the background, like every other Sonic team, like Team Chaotix, or Team Hooligan, or any of the other Sonic teams that don't have anything interesting going on. In my own opinion, while I do think it would be nice to see their relationship go deeper, I don't think it'd be a good idea to force it right away. These characters have existed for 3 years. 2 to 3 years now. That's not right away, especially considering how some ships can either make or break a series, depending on how well it's written, especially in a series. So this isn't the Tangle and Whisper show. This is the Sonic comic. Tangle and Whisper are there for maybe a fifth of the time. It wouldn't make or break anything, honestly. And it doesn't have to be focused on romance because they already have their cute moments when it's a combat series. Which is why most non-romantic ongoing writers usually complete relationship statuses towards the end of a series. Well, it isn't their series. It's not Kim Possible where you have to tease it the whole time. Tangle and Whisper are side characters from the start or just before the reboot ties up loose ends. On top of that, Sega and IDW have to deal with censorship. Very true. Censorship is definitely a big part of it. Or even banishment from other countries. Yes, that is true. The reality of it is that there's a point where you have to either stand up with your principles or make money. And unfortunately, a lot of companies want to try to either have both or just go with the make money end. If you are someone who stands up for diversity and you're someone who stands up for inclusion, the second that you censor something to sell it in another country, your word means nothing to me. It's the same reason why with a lot of Disney stuff, I can't respect them. Because Disney makes it clear that they want to be politically active. They make it clear that they want to push characters like this. But then when they take stuff to other countries, they'll censor it. Or they'll cancel something like the Owl House. Which, by the way, now since I'm bringing up the Owl House, let's talk about the Owl House. The Owl House is a cartoon intended for children that had a lesbian relationship that was depicted wholesomely and never got creepy. Amity and Luce were a couple. They were shipped together immediately. They were shown having cute moments together. Then they got to be together. And I am someone who watched the show all the way through. And I didn't think it was pandering. I, at times, didn't think it was a show meant for me because I'm an adult watching a kid's show. But I actually liked this couple. I liked this story. I liked this world. And I never saw a point where they were anything but a cute cartoon couple. They're just two women who dated. Like, I don't know why that's an issue to so many people. But because this relationship happened, Disney canceled the show. Disney, the people who pushes for progressive ideas and who pushes for gay inclusion, canceled the show because the show had a gay couple in it. And the same thing happened over at Cartoon Network with Steven Universe. I think Steven Universe is a bad example of progressive values, but I don't want to talk about that mess right now. I'd talk about Steven Universe for 4 hours. But when they wanted to have two women get married, the show got canceled. So these companies are all about progressive ideas, and we can see with the Owl House, it can even be represented properly. But due to the fear of backlash and censorship, they canceled the show because of it. And this could happen with Tangle and Whisper, which is why I 100% understand why Sega won't do it, and why the IDW staff won't do it. Because other countries would freak out, and money is money, and everyone just wants money. And sadly, you don't get stuff like this in this political climate because of people who just want money. I agree with Dylan, it's pretty obvious that Tangle and Whisper are a thing together, and I respect and love that. They pretty much give each other a Luz and Amity vibe. Okay, I just brought them up a second ago, but great. I'm glad you agree with me that they do seem like Luz and Amity, especially with how Tangle's haircut is. It looks almost exactly like Luz's. Just throwing that out there. And I respect that and love that. That pretty much gave a Luz and Amity vibe. Happy Pride Month and happy birthday, Sonic. So that's a nice little comment. Sega hates romantic relationships. Also completely valid. First, I wanted to write that I didn't like the sexualization of children mascots, but after 3 seconds of thinking about Sonic lore, I realized that Sonic hooked up with Sally in the past, and that Sega literally has a bat character with tits. So just let them be, I guess. Most of the Sonic fanbase are over 25 anyway. Yes, a large portion of the Sonic fanbase are adults. It's only thanks to the Sonic movie that kids are getting back into Sonic again. And Rouge has always existed. Like, Rouge has existed for most of our life. And we know the type of character Rouge is. We want to talk about the sexualization of Sonic. Rouge is the poster child for it. Rouge has made kinky BDSM references in Sonic X, the Japanese dub. Rouge has straight up flirted with people and have got, like, all up on them, groping them. Rouge is the over-sexual character. Rouge isn't being complained about with these people. Instead, it's the cutesy couple holding hands. I like them as sisters, and personally speaking, because I see them as that. Completely fine. Nah, gayness is proven suicidal. I'm just gonna leave that statement at that, and you can figure out what he means by it. For lots of other reasons, for just purposes of actually making something people want to buy. Ayo. So, Tangle and Whisper have already been cute together, and have already been acting like a couple for years, yet you keep buying the books. It's almost like if you never called them a couple, the books would still sell, and you would be none the wiser. So it seems like the problem lies within ourself, not the stars. But maybe that's just me. Maybe people will boycott something just because they're afraid of real-life people rather than not wanting a poorly written product. That's what it seems like to me. Sega probably will, but this will end badly, and ended badly for Disney's theatrical reign. Disney's movies aren't tanking because they have gay people in them. Disney's movies are tanking because Disney makes poorly made movies that are over budgeted and out of touch with modern audiences. It has nothing to do with gay people. It has nothing to do with women. It has everything to do with bad writing, bad directing, bad storytelling, and misreading what people want at the time, and going extremely over budget. You can't expect everything to be a AAA hit, you can't expect everything to make its money back, and you can't expect everything to be a franchise. Disney is failing because it wants everything, and you can't have everything forever. Eventually you will fall. That is how all great things end up. If Sega were smart, they would stay away from this topic. And you're right, and they will, because of people like you. At least until the drama starts to die down. It's a lose-lose situation to get involved. Either you risk a boycott and losing audience interest, or you risk having to backpedal and angering both sides of the political spectrum. And that's unfortunate, because people who get offended that gay people exist. There's no way to do it without losing customers. That is sad. And that's only the West. Internationally, it would be even more of a controversial issue and might even require censorship if the comic were released in other countries. So, this will be my final statement on that argument. This is an American comic, intended for Americans, written by Americans, and made in America, and sold firstly in America. So why are we caring about other countries' sensibilities? If we want to push real issues that are happening in America in a comic aimed at American audiences, why care about people who might not even buy the comic to begin with? A majority of the sales come from Americans. So why care if Chinese people are buying the comic? Or if people in India are buying the comic? Or if people in Europe are buying the comic? Sell your comic for its audience. If other countries want the comic, they can order it knowing what it's about. You shouldn't be afraid to put something into a story because you're worried about someone somewhere possibly not liking it. Tell the story you want to tell, and don't worry about making $1 bajillion from it. You can't sell everything to everyone. Tell the story you want to tell. Don't fucking convert characters that aren't that way. Make a gay character to make a gay character. And don't care about censorship. Don't care about political issues. Just make the character. That's my final stance on all of that. If you guys like this video, you can hit the like button. If you really like this video, you can share it around. And if you want to see more content like this, you can subscribe. Hopefully I'll get to do more longer videos like this again soon. Bye guys.